Westbrook Health Services has been supporting the surrounding community since 1949 and is known as an agency that is community-focused, people-driven. As one of West Virginia's 13 comprehensive behavioral health centers, Westbrook provides services to 8 counties throughout the Mountaineer State and became one of the first comprehensive community behavioral health clinics in West Virginia in 2020. This podcast wouldn't be possible without the generous help of the Sisters Health Foundation. This year marks 25 years since the foundation awarded its first grant, and we couldn't be more grateful for their support. Welcome to Studio 2121.
Hello, and welcome again to our podcast, Studio 2121. And with me today is Samantha Winland. She is one of our peer support specialists, and I, Kevin Trippett, CEO at Westbrook, is the host today. And we will be talking about what it means to be a peer. Samantha works for us as a peer in our northern counties, which includes Pleasants, Ritchie, and Tyler. And so I guess first thing I'd like to do is pose a question to Samantha. What is a peer support specialist?
So a peer support specialist is a person with lived experience with mental health or substance use. And overall, I like to consider us a resource for people dealing with the same issues, disorders. My job is to help people find their pathway to recovery. We kind of focus on 4 dimensions, and that is health, home, community, and purpose of life. So within that, my overall goal is to help people find those, be productive members of society, if you will.
So you're talking about helping others.
Yes.
What do you think is the advantage of being a peer with helping somebody versus just a therapist or a case manager?
I've been in their shoes. I walked in their shoes, I think that really helps. I had a peer support specialist help me find my way to recovery, to treatment. Mm-hmm. And looking back on it, you can relate so much more, or they feel more comfortable talking to you. And the biggest thing is, everybody's pathway is different. So for me and clients, this is what I did. This is what I did after I got sober. And we usually all need the same kind of help, right? So we need IDs, Social Securities, HUD applications, legal advice, and who better than somebody that just went through that and can really walk you through all the steps.
Right.
Yes.
And that is a good point. A lot of individuals that are struggling with substance use disorder are in a place in our life. They don't have a driver's license. They've lost it. They don't have housing. They don't have food securities.
Yes.
And so we do try to provide that help in any way that we can. We have funding available to help them get their ID back. But that's where you come in. You
Yes.
help these individuals get connected to the resources they need.
That's part of the community access, getting involved in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, it's stressful. So who better else to know somebody might be dealing with a trigger right there, an urge right there. That extra
Mm-hmm.
hand, that extra guidance, it helps with us.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think clients relate better to somebody with lived experience?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do, and I see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of experiences would qualify someone to be a peer?
So you have to have lived experience in substance use or mental health. You have to have sobriety dates of 2 years, proper training, education.
What kind of training have you gone through so far?
So I've done like the C-CAR training. I did my peer support specialist over DHHR. And then throughout, I've done SMART recovery trainings, Narcan trainings, just a whole bunch of lists, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioning Narcan, we just had Save a Life Day, and
Yes.
we passed out a lot
Yes.
of Narcan.
Yes.
And you were a participant in
Mm-hmm.
that.
We do like mental health training as well, just to
Yeah.
get that aspect.
How much Narcan do you guys give out in the community?
So at the Save a Life event, I know we did over about 50 just
Wow.
at that Citrusville General Hospital. We've had several other events. I would say since I've been in Westbrook, at least about 200.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had some clients that have had to use Narcan?
Yes,
that we
I
passed
have.
out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Have they shared any of those experiences with you?
The last person I can think of that had a client that used it, he got it used on him. It saved his life.
Yeah.
It's emotional. It saves his life. So I've also myself been Narcan twice back in my addiction. And again, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Narcan. So for me, it's a special part of my life. It's what's reason I'm here.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
So what's important about, if I was a client and I was given a Narcan kit, is there anything that I need to know about proper storage, or do I need to make others aware that it's available, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I just had a client actually called me a day about it. We prescribed her some Narcan, and she was like, why do I need this? And I said, you definitely need this. If you have a substance use disorder with any kind of opiates, right? Heroin use, fentanyl, opiate use, it's good to have. I carry Narcan right now. And yes, you want them to carry room temperature. I always advise them, and it's hard. It is hard, and that's where a peer can step in and show the family, show the friends, show the community. But you definitely want to advise somebody how to use it. It's so simple to use, There's 2 nasals in a box. You lay them down, you check the nasal, you call 911. There's directions, but absolutely, you want to inform the closest people around you.
Okay. That's good. I mean, it's great that we have those resources to give to individuals.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch, we recently created a video with another harm reduction kit with fentanyl testing. We did that video.
Strips.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're not only testing strips, but we also have a kit that you can test your drugs. I don't know if we've just recently posted it on Facebook, but so we're trying to start handing that out in the community as well.
Yeah, so we've actually handed out some.
So you've handed those out too?
Yes, we definitely
Okay.
have, and we did that at the Save a Life event as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you had any clients use it yet?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Yes.
We're hopeful that will also help someone from overdosing, and of course, us handing these out, it creates a touch point, right? So we start talking with individuals and hopefully encourage them to get into treatment. But it is useful for us to be able to have some way for outreach.
Yes.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. So you talked about to be a peer. You've had some personal experiences. If you don't mind sharing, what are some of the things that you've had to go through to get into recovery?
Yeah, so this wasn't the path, with my job position when I was younger, growing up, expecting myself to be, and I'm a business major. So, but there was a time in my life, it happened later in life for me, but I found myself dealing with mental illness, substance use, legal issues, treatment, and, it was about 5 years that I got into this later in life. After going through all these steps, it changes you. It really does change you. My passion completely changed from then. So that's when I knew for help myself, I like helping others. That's where I'm at in my recovery. It really does benefit me, but most of all, sharing my experience, again, going back to what I can offer somebody that's dealing with the same disorders I am.
Right. Yeah, I think that can be very powerful. I hear that all the time. We have a lot of treatment providers, but sometimes it's the person with the lived experience that really hits home with an individual that then connects them to our treatment provider so that we can get the services they need and get them on the right path. I had a conversation with you one time, and it really struck me. You talked about a time that you were in jail, and because of the pathways that you had developed, you got to Snorting Coffee.
Yes, Keefy.
Yes. And it wasn't because it was making you high, it's because it was that experience.
So that's like where that habit comes in, right? And we always, we know about urges versus triggers. And so I never would have thought to snort Keefy, coffee. But at this time, how would I put this? At this time in my life, I was still numbing myself, right? I want to feel something. So when, I was in jail and I noticed people snorting coffee, and why do we do that?
Yeah.
It's just the same habit we're breaking of putting something in my nose, right? It's making me feel something, especially in jail. What a lost place that was for me. But it becomes a habit. I'm not getting high from it. It's not addicting, but it does become a habit for. And funny story was with that. So after this time, I'd done my jail time. I've done long-term treatment. I'm home. I have about 1.5 years of sobriety under my belt. And I'm waking up in the morning, and I'm going to the coffee pot, making my coffee. But again, I have education in my belt, right? So I know my signs. I know tools I've learned. I can recognize a trigger and an urge. So I'm outside. I'm reading my daily reflections. I'm with my coffee. And I just start feeling something. And I had to recognize it. I stopped. What is going on? What just happened? And I've only been up for an hour. It took me a couple days, and then it hit me as I was making my coffee, seeing the coffee grounds. There it goes, my urge, right? I'm having that urge. Luckily, I was able to stop that, and I knew the tools I needed to. That's where us peers come in to help people find these tools, right? So I had to let my partner know, and how funny was that? You know, I'm having the urge to snort coffee. I go to meetings, evening meetings, recovery meetings, and I'm talking about it, you know, and it's people are laughing, going, really, Samantha? But truly it is, because I know myself, and I would consider snorting coffee a lapse. You know, I'm doing something to alter my brain, to feel something. And there's not a doubt in my mind that that urge can turn into a trigger, and that trigger can turn into a relapse. So if I were to start snorting coffee, that pain, just putting something in my nose, eventually it's not going to be good enough. I'm going to want to snort something else. And in my addiction, I used to snort pain medication. There would be. And then from pain medication, I led to methamphetamine. You know, so something as simple as coffee can trigger me enough to go back into addiction and relapse. I had to handle it, something I talked about with my therapist at meetings. I'm going to tell you the truth, too. He'll watch this. I'm over that, but he still makes my coffee precautious, right? We want to go to the extreme when it comes to sobriety. And it could be something as simple as having him make my coffee every morning to avoid seeing the coffee grounds. Yes.
You know, and I think that's something the public doesn't understand. That if you've never dealt with addiction issues, is how minor something can be that causes a trigger.
Absolutely.
And if you haven't built up those skills to recognize it, it can lead you right back down the path again.
Yes.
That's why I think the statistics for someone that's dealing with an opioid disorder, it takes them 9-10 times in the different starts in the treatment before it sticks.
Absolutely.
Just because they haven't built up that skill base yet.
Yes. And then you're fighting more than just the addiction. Then it goes right back to that habit. You know, the routine. That's hard to break. It is hard to break.
So, what do you like about working at Westbrook?
Well, I like helping people. So again, you know, recovery, there's so much more to sobriety. I mean, to recovery than just sobriety. And for me, in my recovery, I'm at that place that helps me to help others. Then it's a huge life change that happened to me. I feel like now it's a passion. I'm going to help somebody. So before I started working at Westbrook, I was volunteering with the quick response team on my own. It was something I wanted to do. And then I realized there's peers available. I need to get involved in this somehow. I think, you know, the success that comes with it. You hear success stories and it makes you feel good. It makes it a purpose. And like, again, I'm also in recovery. And just like I mentioned, health, home, purpose, community. I found my purpose, and that's working in recovery. Yes.
You mentioned the quick response team. I remember when we first set a quick response team up for us, we started it here in Wood County. It is one of the most life-changing things I think we could do as an agency is we go out to individuals when we're notified that they've had a recent overdose, and we go find them in the community.
Yes, that's how Pleasants County does.
We do anything and everything we can to go locate them. As long as they've given verbal permission at the time of the overdose that we can do so. And we take a police officer out, we take someone from a local EMT, we do that for safety, not only for medical concerns, but environmental concerns. And we've changed a lot of lives because of it. And the police officer enjoys the work that goes on. They understand their need that we've had a case where we showed up at a house and an individual had a gun. Well, lo and behold, it was a squirt gun. But nobody knew that. But the police officer was immediately in action, making sure that it was a safe environment. But so I mean, hearing the work that the quick response teams do is very passionate thing for me.
Same here.
I'm glad that you've been a part of those teams.
Yeah, that was, like I said, I did that as soon as I came back. My peer support specialist that helped me was involved with it. He says, just jump on in, and I did. And I think the biggest thing with that is getting the community involved, understanding the purpose of that. You know, if you can catch somebody at the right time, it makes a huge difference.
Right.
It really does, and I think that's where the quick response team comes in, catching them at the right time.
Yeah. So you've been in recovery for some time now.
Yes.
So what are some coping skills that you have learned that might be something that you could share with the public?
Accountability. I love accountability. That's what's helped me.
Okay.
And, at first I'm not able to hold myself accountable, so I allow others to hold myself accountable. And it can be anything, I say Westbrook holds people accountable, legal helps hold people accountable. Eventually you can teach yourself tools to help hold yourself accountable. Therapy. I do believe in mental illness. And the moment I started involving myself with a therapist, expressing my feelings, recognizing stuff, that truly helps me. 12 steps. I do believe going to recovery meetings, being part of it. My whole life does revolve around recovery, even outside of work. So these are the tools that's helped me along these ways.
Is that difficult, trying to get somebody else to hold you accountable? Because like all your life, you're trying to learn to be on your own, and now you're asking someone else to hold you accountable.
Yes, when the legal system's holding you accountable, you have no choice on that one, but then you accept, right? So I always said there was a time during my addiction, right, that 3 things happened to me. And part of those 3 things, so I surrendered. I accepted, and I had an awakening. And acceptance is a big part. I accepted who I am. I lived my life different than I did prior to my addiction. So from 27 on, I lived my life different. From 27 over, I'm a changed person. And I know every day I do things differently. And I've accepted that. And yes, it's hard, especially when you have control issues. It's hard to let people in. Doesn't take many. It could be just 1 and 2 to hold yourself accountable. The magic thing about this program too is things start holding you accountable. My daughter, who's 8, holds me accountable without realizing she holds me accountable. It's acceptance. Accept it. Don't fight it. And that's the hard part,
Yeah, that's great. So when stress starts building, I imagine that's probably the most likely time that a relapse can happen, is when someone has a lot of stressful times going on in their life. So how do you manage stress now to keep those triggers from happening or affecting you?
I like to stay busy. So I do stay busy. I do 3 meetings a week. Therapy's there. My support group, it could be a sponsor, it could be a friend. We all know that's Ashley Wilhoit.
Yep.
So having a good support group. For me, I need to express. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? I used to do a lot of writing, but the biggest thing would be staying busy. Staying busy. I do believe in 12 steps, so I live my life a certain way. Prayer, again, for me, that works. Now, I will, just to mention that, for, everybody's different. And for me, I have to focus more on when everything's going great, rather than when I'm stressed. A lot of people say, relapse can come when you're stressed or depressed or down. Some people, it actually can come complete opposite.
Okay.
It's when you're feeling great. Everything's going great. We live in that in moment. You don't think of consequences can really hit you too. I try to pay attention a lot on my mental illnesses.
Right.
Recognize when I'm going through a manic episode. Recognize when I'm just feeling off. And the cool thing is the people I have close to me, they recognize it. I trust them. They can spot something, say, we're sensing something. And I trust them enough to step back, reflect, figure out what's going on. It might be not making too many big decisions at that time. Yeah.
You mentioned sometimes it's when you're feeling great.
Yep.
I mean, I've heard that, and I didn't even think of it at the time, but we have individuals that take medications for different things, and the medication's working, so they feel good. So all of a sudden, they don't think they need the medication anymore. So I imagine it's similar to that. Your guardrails come off.
Yes, and so I do complete abstinence, so I don't take medications. However, I can recognize signs, and until not, medication is very necessary, in my opinion. When your mental state is not right, you'll be so easy to relapse. I've seen people say, "Oh, I'm doing good, I'm there," and then they stop taking that medication, and there you start feeling it, and it can happen so fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
So one last thing I want to talk about today, and this has been great conversation. we do a lot of work with law enforcement. We partner with them. We feel that they're a valuable resource. We hope that they feel the same about us. And so can you share maybe some of your experiences? I know we've had conversations in the past of how you've worked with law enforcement on different things.
Yes. So again, community outreach. You know, I went through the legal system for my sobriety. So again, I have a passion there, right? Small town, you know, we might get referrals from all kinds of places, you know. So it could be benefit to understand there's more to this than just going to jail.
Right.
Right? We need to deal with this. We need to actually diagnose this. So yes, I get referrals all the time from the courthouses in both Ritchie and Pleasants County, and we set them up with IOP, relapse prevention, continuously management program, which focuses on meth use. Helping educate what is going on so we don't have a repeat offender.
Right.
Yes.
So our goal is then to avoid jail time, come get treatment. And not only will we help you get in path to recovery, we can keep you out of the legal system and hopefully get you on a path to working and reconnecting with your family and all those sorts of great things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Samantha, thank you. It's been a great conversation
you.
today. And if any of you are experiencing any issues with addiction, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have a crisis line. It is 485-1725. If you're having any suicidal tendencies, you can also call that number for that. Any type of help. We'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you. And also there is a National Suicide Prevention Hotline out. That number has changed to 988, just the mere 911, so it's an easy number to remember. So please don't hesitate to reach out anytime you're having difficulties. Thank you.